Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the show. I am your host, JD. Welcome. I'm excited to bring you everything. Good morning to everybody in the CSFL, all the owners, and to all the fans. This is the weekly recap show. We're going to go over a few things today. We're going to do the week one game recaps. We're also going to do week one media questions. We're going to do week one player MVPs, coach of the week, and then we'll take a quick look at week two. But I hope you guys are excited for game day today. CSFL is the Canadian Simulation Football League where AI and strategies determine the outcome, not controller skills. You can be a player, you can be a coach, you can be an owner. You can join today by joining our Discord channel in the link below in the description in this video for further details if you would like to join the CSFL. And if any owners would like to be featured in our weekly show, make sure you DM me for interviews and everything. And let's get right into it. Okay, let's go. Let's get excited now. First thing we're going to look at is we're going to look at the game recaps first. So let's take a look at that. We'll take a look at the Wildcats versus the Dragons in week one. Wow, what a game it was. Went right down to the wire. And the Dragons were able to win at home. Looked like the Wildcats were in strong lead of the game for the most part. And then the Dragons came in the fourth quarter to score 17 and to run away with it with 4-point lead at the end. Great performances by both teams. But definitely the Dragons surprised a few teams, even though they were favored to win this game at home. They surprised quite a few owners, quite a few fans about how well their defense can run. Okay, next look, we're looking at the Piranhas and the Gators. Piranhas and Gators, what a shootout that was. And the Gators were able to get 27 record points in a quarter. In the second quarter, got 27, and that basically carried them in the entire game. But what a second quarter that was. Even the Piranhas scoring 17. What a second quarter that was. A lot of scoring, a lot of shooting, a lot of throwing, and the Piranhas tried to keep up, but the Gators were able to be victorious. Eric Reeves, the quarterback for the Gators, only missed one pass, I believe, only had one incompletion, was extremely efficient, as the owner would like to say, for the Gators. And the Piranhas, Alonzo, the quarterback there, long throw, Alonzo can really whip it. He had over 3 touchdowns, I believe, that were 50-plus touchdown yard passes. So that was pretty impressive to see Alonzo take it to the Gators like that, and he could really throw it with this offense. But their running game really was the determine and why they lost 41-34. Gators win that ball game in week one. Let's take a look at the Cobras and the Rhinos. This one was absolute shocker. We thought for sure the Rhinos at home were going to take it to the Cobras. Actually, both these owners are related. They are actually family members, and so it makes it a little bit sweeter, a little bit saltier, a little bit better when you get a win against a family member, should I say. But the Cobras, consistency, 14-14 in the first half, and then a 7-8 to finish the game off to win by 3 points. And wow, their quarterback, Ron Simmons, from the Cobras, was extremely impressive, throwing 5 touchdowns, only quarterback to throw 5 touchdowns. Went 5-0 with no turnovers and won on the road and scored the most points out of any other team. That's extremely impressive. The Rhinos letting up the deep ball, but they were pretty consistent as well with the 10-10, a 6 and a 14, but a little too much, a little too late for the Rhinos. Houdini Genie Ingram is a phenomenal quarterback for the Rhinos. They got all the pieces with Mark Marshall, with the great, sweet as candy Randy Dorsey out there. They got everything that you could need on an offense. They also made a lot of moves on the defensive side of the ball to bring in newly acquired players. But the chemistry and maybe the chemistry between the players just isn't there for the Rhinos yet. They were still able to score 40 points, but to let up 43 points is devastating to say the least. And then our last matchup of the week 1 games was the Vipers versus the Blue Jays. And honestly, the Blue Jays are one of the teams that a lot of the people thought are the best team in the league, rated one of the best, and may go all the way, at least to the playoffs in the top 4. And the Vipers were able to take it to them and hold their own. Again, another big shootout in the second quarter. 20 points from the Blue Jays, 15 points from the Vipers. But then it definitely slowed off a little bit, definitely for the Blue Jays. And the Vipers held them without points in the entire fourth quarter. But we're not able to capitalize, only scoring 6 points there, falling 3 points short. The Blue Jays beat the Vipers, but holy crap, the Vipers look really impressive to do something like this to a great team. They got a really good backfield there, a secondary on their defense to really help shut down the pass. But the star of the show for the Vipers was Phil Clemens on the ground, getting over 170 yards and 3 touchdowns. That is pretty impressive for the Vipers, the Vipers, and the Blue Jays running back is no slouch either. Blaine the Train Higgins, he is quite a big boy and he can run the ball really hard. And they also got a phenomenal quarterback with Ralph Dorsey. Yes, he is related to the Randy Dorsey, the receiver from the Rhinos. Okay, and that's the game recaps. Hope you enjoyed that. Let's minimize that for a second and let's bring up the Discord and answer some of these media questions for the owners here. Only a few owners actually replied and gave comments. But for the Vipers, the first question was for his newly acquired wide receiver Jason Jones, who was held to only 1 catch for 14 yards. What's the team's plans to get him more involved? And the second question was the Vipers' newly acquired middle linebacker Quinston Hester, who led the team in tackles. How do you feel about his performance against the Blue Jays' strong running game was the question. And the answer from the owner, let's bring it up here. It's right here. Right here, I'll highlight it for you. Coaching error won't happen going forward for the first question. And number 2, everyone was skeptical of our middle linebacker swap, but sometimes you just need to change in scenery to get yourself going again. Hester looked to have some new life. I'm happy with our run defense, and we think that we look good in our pass defense going up against an elite passing offense this season. Our defense is ready. So very exciting to hear from the Vipers owner. But now let's move on. But I agree with the Vipers owner absolutely on everything that he says. Let's take a look back at the media room here. Try to go through this as quickly as possible. I know we're already at 9 minutes. Okay, then the Cobras offense finished first overall with 511 yards, also leading the league in points scored at 43. Why was the offense able to be so effective against the strongly rated Rhinos defense? And also the defense of the Cobras wasn't able to stop the rookie wide receiver Randy Dorsey, allowing over 150 yards and 2 touchdowns to the rookie, including a late touchdown, which almost let them come back. What's the Cobras' plan to not allow this type of performance to happen again? We'll go take at the owner, look at the owner of the Cobras. And it's right here. Well, I believe the reason for our effectiveness on offense today was because of the quarterback, Simmons. He was really on the mark today, along with great player performances. You're damn right. And our defense came to play, but we seem to be napping on some of the defensive execution on the field, hoping to improve that next game. Thank you to the Vipers and the Cobras owners for their answers to the media. Okay, then we'll get to the Gators here. The Gators' running game struggled to gain consistency throughout the entire match and finished third worst for yards on the ground with one of the best running backs in the league. What is the team and the owner's plan to get running back Matt Davis more involved? And also, the Gators' defense gave up multiple 50-plus yard touchdowns and end the week with the second worst pass defense in the league, allowing over 350 yards in the air. Does the owner have any plan in mind to help the defense stop these teams from just airing it out on them? So let's go take a look at the owner's answer here from the Gators. Should have had this a little bit more organized, a little bit better, but I do not at the moment. And here it is. Boom. We're not worried about the lack of yardage from Matt Davis. He got it done when the numbers were called. Our third down efficiency was 80%. That's very important to us. Our coaches know Matt Davis has a long season ahead of him. We don't want to burn him out on our first game. We will see more from him later this season. Eric Reeves also threw to only 5 different receivers. We expect him to spread the ball around more in the passing game, and this will also include Matt Davis. And then for the second answer, bad things can happen when our defense is on the field. As much as we struggled on defense, we're confident we can make the right stops at the right time. It's really all about the Gators defense players buying into our team's defensive scheme. Although it takes quite a bit of pressure off Eric Reeves putting up those numbers, we knew Eric has it in him to be great. But not even he expected to achieve a perfect quarterback rating. He's got a bright future ahead of him. Everyone in the Gators franchise loves this guy. So you know that Eric Reeves is bringing some excitement into the Gators building. And wow, isn't that great? Because they really got a gem there in Matt Davis. Piranhas were also asked a question, but they did not answer. So we do not have a reply from the Piranhas owner. They were asked about their brutally low 47-yard rushing performance and what their plans are to do about that, and also their defense letting up the second most points with 41 points. What's the owner's plans to do that? And also the Dragons and the Wildcats did not reply as well. So that is it for our weekly media room questions. Moving on to the week 1 player MVP. So MVP of the week was between Cobras Ron Simmons, Vipers running back Phil Clemens, and Gators wide receiver Shane Clemens. All 3 of them on offense having absolutely amazing performances and doing really, really well for their team. And on defense, the Blue Jays cornerback Alex Campbell, the Dragons cornerback Jamie Foster, and the Cobras again with another player on the defense or for the MVP list with their right end Cardinal Entwine. Hey, what a great performance. He actually got the only sack in the week 1. He's the only one to get a sack. So we'll take a look at the actual MVPs, and the MVPs were won by Ron Simmons for offense with 157.5 quarterback rating, 364 yards, and 5 big ones on the road. So that was really impressive by Ron Simmons. And then the defensive MVP of the week is cornerback Alex Campbell, 6 tackles with 2, not 1, 2 interceptions and 3 pass deflections. He was all over the Vipers trying to throw the ball, and he really, really did a good job shutting them down. So congratulations to the Cobras and to the Blue Jays owners and franchise for their defensive players of the week. And then also coach of the week goes to the Cobras owner. Congratulations for winning coach of the week. You deserved it. not only did they win on the road, but they were first in total offense and first in points. And Ron Simmons looked like he could do no wrong, scored 43 points on the road with the win. And the upset was absolutely phenomenal. So congratulations to the Cobras. Very impressed with that, definitely. Okay, now we'll take a look at the week 2 matchups here. We'll start off right here with the Blue Jays after their big win going against the Wildcats. Whoa! Look at this team. They got the #1 pass defense for the Blue Jays. They're first for turning the ball over, and they have the 3rd total defense. Excuse me. They allowed a lot of yards on the ground. Over 177 yards to the Vipers. But was that the Vipers, or is that because the Blue Jays can't stop the run? This game's going to define that. But they can really stop the pass with only letting like 220 passing yards is pretty impressive, right? So they go 1-0, but they score only 30 points, and that's 7th, second last in the league. And they also have the worst offense in the league for yards. Not statistics or potential, that's for damn sure, because they have the highest rated offense, but they just didn't need it because how many times they turned it over and did really well. And then the Wildcats here, 5th in the league for passing or for points, which is really low as well, but not as low as the Blue Jays, obviously. They have the 3rd best running game, so they have a really promising running game there with Grant Williams doing really well in the beginning of the game against the Dragons, but they weren't able to come away with the win. But look at that defense, allowing the 2nd most total yards and those 2nd total yards on the ground. So both these teams let up a lot of rushing yards. Both these teams can't stop the run. So I'm expecting to see both these running backs have really big days. But again, the big difference when you look at this is the defense. So we got the 7th overall defense, 2nd worst defense going against the worst offense. But then we got, one of the best running games, or even say one of the best offenses, top 4, 4th best offense going against the 3rd best defense. So what's going to happen when the Wildcats are on the field against the Blue Jays defense? I'm really curious what's going to go on there, because that's really going to determine the game, because I feel like when the Blue Jays are on the field against the Wildcats defense, they're not going to be able to stop them. So that's really going to be the difference maker in that game. So I'm really excited to see that ball game. But in my opinion, Blue Jays walk away with the win. Okay, now we'll take a look at this Saturday matchup, the Piranhas versus the Rhinos. And honestly, this game is just as important as the two teams that are going against each other that are 1-0 and 1-0. These teams are both 0-1 and 0-1. There's only 7 games in the season. Going 0-2 is devastating, to say the least. You definitely can come back, but it's going to be a climb uphill. So now let's take a look at the Piranhas, because one of these teams are going 0-2. The Piranhas terrible on the run game. Look at that. Last in the league, only 41 yards. Is that because the Gators shut them down, or do they really struggle to run the ball? This game's going to define that, because if they could run the ball really well against this Rhino team, then it was the Gators that just shut them down. But if Rhinos also shut them down on the run, we're going to start questioning the running game of the Piranhas. But look at their past offense. They were trailing, sorry to speak. They were trailing the whole game, so they had to throw it. So they did abandon the run a little bit. But look at their passing offense. They can throw it. Alonzo, like I said, long throw. Alonzo can really get it done. I really believe in the quarterback for the Piranhas. He's a really good quarterback, and he's got a really good team around him. He just needs the reps, I think. But then you look at the Piranhas defense, 6th in the bottom 4 and 3rd best at the rush, but they let up quite a few passing yards. And did not score a lot of points. Also 6th for points scored. Then we look at the Rhinos. Scored 40 points last week and still did not win at home, scoring 40 points and not getting the win. That's the defense's fault. But everyone else did what they were supposed to do. So the Rhinos on offense, we'll take a look at that first, did not do well on the ground, finishing second last with 117 yards on the ground, which seems like quite a bit and pretty consistent. So don't let these numbers fool you too much. But the passing game was good. Houdini, Genie, Ingram, what I like to call him, or Ingram, and he's great. He's great. He's really good quarterback, and he's got really good receivers around him. And he's got one of the best. He has the best offensive line in the league. So the Rhinos are great. They should get this done. They should beat the Piranhas. It's just scary because they're on the road this week, and the Piranhas are desperate. The Piranhas are a really desperate team, and it's going to be a close one. But I see the Rhinos walking away with this one. But look at their defense of the Rhinos. This is the scary part here, is they are the last in the league for yards, for allowing 511 yards in week 1. Whoa, that's a lot, you know. So Ron Simmons is able to carve them up, so we'll see what Alonzo can do, or if the Rhinos can shut down Alonzo and have a really good game here, then we might think it was just Ron Simmons that is that amazing. It's not the Rhinos being that terrible. But this game is going to define that. This is going to be one of those games, but I see the Rhinos walking away with this one. Okay, then we'll look at we got 2 more to look at, and then we're done. Okay, and then this game, wow, this is a really big game. I know everyone's focusing on the 1-0 game. We'll get to that next with the Dragons and the Cobras, but don't sleep on this game. This game, in my opinion, is going to be the game of the week. Okay, it's not our highlight game of the week, but I'm telling you, after this, it's going to be, because look at these numbers, okay? First, we'll look at the Gators. They're really good on offense. Look at that passing game, like we were talking about Eric Reeves being extremely efficient, 339 yards, 3rd in the league. But we're a little bit low on the rushing, but ended up finishing 3rd best total offense, and also 2nd best for points per game with 41 big ones. So that's a lot of points. That's the 2nd most in the league. Also, look at their defense. Shut down the Piranhas running game. Absolutely shut them down. And if the Piranhas, like I said, have a big game on the ground today, you're going to really look at these Gators and go, whoa, it was the Gators, right? They held them to 41 rushing yards, which is a record low, but they were really bad at the pass because Alonzo was able to whip it against these guys and throw it against these guys. So I'm really worried about the Gators' backfields and their secondary being able to stop Derek Albright. But besides, the Gators look really promising on offense, scoring a ton of points, and have a really strong defense. So the Vipers better watch out, because you know the Gators are going to play really, really well. But the Gators are on the road, so they're coming into the snake pit of the Vipers. And let's look at the Vipers now. They are 8th in the league for points. They are the worst for scoring, going against the 2nd best for scoring. That's scary. That makes me. I really hope this isn't a lopsided, game where the Dragons run away with it, or not the Dragons. The Gators score multiple points and get a double-digit lead or double possession lead, which is going to force the Vipers to throw it. And they're not doing so hot on the throwing right now. They are 8th in the league. Only 226 yards they got from Derek Albright, and also he threw 2 interceptions. Was that Derek Albright? Is he a bad quarterback? Or is the Blue Jays that good? Was Alex Campbell that good? Getting 2 interceptions and shutting down Derek Albright basically from the long throw pretty much all day. This game's going to define that. We're going to find out after this game, was it the Blue Jays, or is Derek Albright not elite? That's the next question. You ask me, Derek Albright is elite, and he's going to have a bounce-back game against this 7th ranked, 2nd worst pass defense. But they can run it. They can run it. They can eat the clock. They're best in the league for running the ball. But then now let's take a look at their defenses. First overall, they've allowed only the second most passing yards, which is extremely impressive with all these passing teams, holding the Blue Jays to only 232 yards in the air. That's really impressive. So they are worst in the league for turnovers, rated last. So what's going to happen with the first overall defense going against the second overall defense, with the first rushing offense going against the first rushing defense? You know, the third, look at these. This is a big game. This is a battle of titans here, bumping heads. So I'm really excited to see this game Saturday. And then today, Friday, hopefully if this video gets out in time, this is the last matchup, then we're going to call it a day. Look at the Cobras. Look at them. No one's expected the Cobras to be the first in points, first in offense, first in passing offense, and second against the rush. They are phenomenal. They also got the only sack of week 1, so their defensive line is really good as well. And the Dragons, wow, they came up with a surprise win on the at home. They were at home, where the Cobras won on the road. So now that the Cobras are at home and the Dragons are on the road, what are the Cobras gonna do now? Is Ron Simmons that good? Is what we're gonna find out this game. Is he able to do this against the Dragons as well? And after he did what he did to the Rhinos, we're gonna find out. But yeah, the Cobras first in points per game with 43 points in a game, which is ridiculous. 511 yards in a total offense, which is crazy, and 364 yards in the air. They also can run the ball really well with Charles Axeman Hatchet at running back, and their total defense is 4th overall, top 4 again, and 2nd against the rush, but 5th against the pass. Whoa, with 0 turnovers. Really impressed with these Cobras, which I'm sure the whole league is really impressed. Now the Dragons, let's take a look at them. They are 4th for points, but not off by much. But they scored 39 points, got the win, so they're not off by much. But they scored almost 40 points, almost right there with the Cobras. 2nd in offense and 2nd on the ground with 176 rushing yards, with the 5th best defense and the 3rd best passing defense and the 2nd best for turnovers. We're looking at the first offense going against the 2nd best offense. So this is going to be an offensive shootout on paper, but in my opinion, I think this is going to be a low-scoring game. Both these teams have really good defenses. They just scored a ton of points last week, which is really hard to believe. But yeah, that these two teams, would anybody have guessed after week 1 that the Cobras and the Dragons would be the 1st and the 2nd best total offensive teams? I don't think so, but we'll see. Numbers don't lie, right? So we're going to see after this game what happens, and can the Dragons surprise the the CSFL world by going 2-0? Can the Cobras go 2-0 and surprise the world as well? Both these teams going 2-0 is a huge shock for everyone, and congratulations to the Cobras and the Dragons for running their team really well and coming into this matchup and potentially going 2-0. So I am excited. If I had to guess what team was going to win, I'm going to say the Dragons are going to take it to the Cobras this week. I think the Cobras are going to do what they do and do really well, but I think the Dragons are going to humble them, and I don't think Ron Simmons is going to have as good of a day as he did last week. But hey, prove me wrong, Ron Simmons. Prove me wrong. And that is it for the show. I hope you enjoyed the show, everybody. I believe my logo is off a little bit. Let's move this logo over. That's fine. That's been like that the whole show, so it doesn't really matter now. And I know you can see the green box, because I was having some issues with my green screen. But hey, thank you so much for sticking. If you've made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching. I'm really excited. Enjoy the games today, guys. We got 2 games on Friday and 2 games on Saturday, and I look forward to talking to you guys all in the Discord, and I look forward to the next show next week. Thank you so much for sticking around. The CSFL is the Canadian Simulation Football League, where we allow AI and strategies determine outcome, not controller skills. Join today. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great day.